The ultimate tournament of everything.
Welcome to the Tournament of Everything, a bracket-style show where we look at 18 of Wikipedia's strongest competitors, pit them against each other, and figure out which one of them is the best.
That is absolutely 100% correct, and we do so by sneaking into a baseball stadium in the dead of night and slipping into the concession stand to find the large bottles of liquid butter-like substance used for the popcorn. We then take out each thing from our deep, deep bag of infinity and one by one mix them down with this faux buttery substance until it forms an infinite variety of thick goos. We then find our way back to the pitcher's mound and use this makeshift stickum of infinity to try and see which one will throw the most perfect screwball slider, which one will strike you out. That's going to be our one. Moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Buttery flavoring.
Yeah, it's that stickum. You got to get a little bit of extra grip on the laces, a little bit of extra, dip on your fingers so you can really flick it right. That being said, Rob, why don't you tell them what we're actually going to be doing?
We will actually be picking random pages off Wikipedia 2 by 2 for 9 rounds of the best competition you've heard today. Our very first competitor, picked off of the internet randomly at this moment, will be announced right after we play our very cool Round 1 music.
Round one.
Our two competitors for round 1 are Procare Picchio against Astrological Botany.
Okay, two things that sound like they shouldn't exist. One, sounding vaguely like a fictional character with an extending nose upon falsifying statements. The other, I don't know of any plants that grow out in the stars, so I'm psyched to see what we're going to learn. Who's going to star in this round? Let's find out.
The Procare F-15 Picchio, which is Italian for woodpecker, is an Italian-designed light utility aircraft built by Procare. Now, this is the second appearance of an Italian aircraft in this tournament. They have been showing up lately. This was designed in Italy in the late 50s, I think right around the time of our other competitor, as a further development of Stelio Fradi's Falco and Nibbio designs.
Yeah, that previous competitor did not fare completely well. You might say it bombed. However, this one seems to be flying high. It was a conventional low-wing cantilever monoplane of exceptionally clean lines with retractable tricycle undercarriage. Very important. Early versions of this Picchio share the same wooden construction as the earlier designs, but had a thin aluminum skin over the top of their plywood skins. The F.15E and the F.15F, however, these were all metal constructions.
Yeah, I think the F.15 really tells you how it would compare to an actual F-15. Its maximum speed, 190 miles per hour. Its cruising speed, 160 miles an hour. And its range, a little under 1,000 miles. So not an aircraft that really you'd want to be in if Tom Cruise were your pilot, but one that did occasionally fly.
Yes, indeed, it flew high through the sky. But as you look to the sky, and indeed beyond the sky, you're going to see stars and the rest of the universe. So I think that's a good point to jump over to our other contestant, astrological botany.
Astrological botany is a thing most of us probably didn't know existed. It's based on the notion that if plants or seeds are to be used for medicinal purposes, then their planting and collection must be carried out with regard to the positions of the planets and other heavenly bodies, which are at the heart of the disease process. Now, I agree with some of that. I think you should regard the position of the earth when you plant something, but just the earth. I'm really not interested in the other plants, maybe the sun, but I don't think that's what they're talking about.
Well, if you leave the earth where it is, you won't be able to move it. If nothing else, you got to at least put a spade in there so you can make a little spot to drop your seed covered up with dirt. Give it some love and some water, and in just a little bit, you might have yourself a sunflower. But they've used this for numerous things. For instance, herbs are intended to be used on male patients. They say should be gathered when the sun and the moon are in one of the male signs of the zodiac, such as Sagittarius or Aquarius, whereas those for treatment of females should be gathered under a female sign, such as Virgo. So basically, they're saying that harvesting these plants at different times makes them appropriate for different types of people and for different applications and reasons.
I think I'd agree with the great Agnes Arber, who said that England became badly infected with astrological botany in the 17th century when its most notorious practitioner was Nicholas Culpeper.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've eaten a lot of, we're talking about botany, we're talking about plants. Rosemary, delicious, very flavorful. You know, I'm not sure that the sun is gonna, when I pick it, it's gonna matter, but I don't think it's going to change what it's going to do for me. It's gonna make my chicken delicious either way. But I couldn't get that chicken by myself. I'm gonna have to get to somewhere to get that chicken. And if you're going somewhere, why not go in a Procare Picchio?
Well, I can name a couple reasons. Mostly that it's a small Italian aircraft built in the 60s and we are in the year 2022. I'd rather find something a little more modern, but it's definitely more modern than the crazy idea that is astrological botany.
I don't know. That concept sounds pretty modern, but this plane indeed, not so old, but not so new. The Picchio, it was primarily intended for operation by private pilot owners, and the design, it's been exported to several European countries, as well as being purchased by Italian individuals. And indeed, there are still several of these that are airworthy. But Rob, is this concept of astrological botany worthy of the air?
No, it's not even worthy of the Wikipedia article it's typed in.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree. And so, Pro Care Picchio flying high, soaring into the next round of.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
You can just come up with anything you want, and you can put any rules that you want to anything. Doesn't mean that it won't work sometimes, but it's not going to work here in this round of the ultimate tournament of everything. Certainly won't work in the next one. Speaking of the next one, let's get on to round two.
It's time for round two.
In round two, we have Al Mahama Al Kubra against Alexander Lukovich.
Exceptional. We've got two things that truly bring the thunder. We've got Al Malhama Al Kubra versus Alexander Lukovich, both big heavy hitters. I think we're about to learn all about that. Let's jump into the details.
Al-Malamat al-Kubra is an apocalyptic great battle to occur in the end times according to Islamic eschatology. The Malhama al-Kubra is prophesied to be the most brutal battle in human history. It generally corresponds to the Battle of Armageddon in Christian eschatology and occurs soon before the emergence of the Dajjal, or Antichrist.
Before the emergence, I see. Some people have said that this ultimate tournament of everything that you're listening to right now is the greatest battle to ever occur in human history. But this Al Malhama Al Kubra has been said to be something perhaps even more significant, if that could be possible. The name literally means the greatest battle. It can signify a fierce war with considerable atrocities and killing, a similar battle within a bloody war, a combat, a massacre. Basically, it ain't good times.
Yeah, I really hope that our show is not the ultimate battle because that means we're literally bringing about the end times, which isn't good for publicity.
Yeah, but I thought that the Antichrist would come before the end. So if he's coming after the end and everything's already done, then why are we so concerned about this character?
That's a great question. Now, some contemporary exegetes have linked the Malhama al Kubra to nuclear war, and some contemporary Muslim exegesis suggests that Romans, referred to in the prophecy, variously correspond to the Gulf War coalition or the Russians. It's always Russia. When you talk about the end of the world, it's always Russia.
Yeah. You know what? For some reason or other, to some person or other, the world is always ending. And yet, here we are in the first round of the ultimate tournament of everything, where we have two contestants. Rob, let's check out our other, Alexander Lukovic.
Now, he's a Serbian football manager and former player who played as a defender. He's the manager of the Serbia national under 16 football team and appeared in the 2010 World Cup.
Now, was he just there or did he play?
It looks like he played.
Whoo, we got a baller on our hands from the get go. Started his career at hometown club Sloga Karl Havo. And then in 2002, he was signed by another team. He played in his first UEFA Cup match in 2002 after he substituted for somebody at second half. And looks like they won that game 2-0.
Now, his international career, he made his debut against Poland in 2005 and played a part in the 2010 World Cup qualifying and mostly partnered in central defense as he preferred left back. Now, he was sent off in Serbia's opening match against Ghana. Never great when you're sent off. In March of 2011, 2 weeks before a crucial Euro 2012 qualifier against Ireland, he surprised everyone by deciding to retire.
Yeah, and he was only 28 at the time. He chose his decision. He wanted to focus on his club Zenit. Interestingly, on the same occasion, a teammate of his also made the same announcement. These were pretty significant send-offs. But if you're going to talk about a significant send-off, I think we should talk about the great apocalyptic battle that is Al Malhama Al Kubra.
Certain places are significant in this narrative cycle. One of the significant locations is Dabiq, Syria, which many texts say it will take place there. Alexandria, Egypt, Damascus, and Jerusalem are also significant places in these prophecies.
Now, those are all in the eastern half of the world, as far as world maps tend to go. Do you think that if that half of the world ends, this half of the world will end too, or will it just become like a semicircle globe?
I think I'd believe a prophecy better if it were written 2,000 years ago and then it talks about like Toledo, Ohio. Then I'd be like, okay, maybe this is legit.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, some contemporary exegetes, they, as you said, they related to nuclear war. We'll see what happens. But you know what truly brings the boom? The leg of a football defender, such as Alexander Lukovic. Looks like he's scored a good number of goals with varying teams. He was definitely a baller. He's got 20 career goals. Played with the Serbian national team for about 7 years. Didn't score a goal with them, but he did appear in 28, you know, games or matches. And looks like he was part of the Serbian Superliga team of the season from 2015 to 2016.
Well, I know he's going to be my pick, and since he plays defense, I hope he defends us from the apocalypse.
Yeah, you know what? It can't be denied is a great defender, but what will oversee that, and I think what even more so can't be denied is the end of everything. Perhaps started by Al Malhama Al Kubra, and so I think I'm going to have to disagree and go with that as my selection. So, Rob, we find ourselves at an impasse.
Yes, we do, and we know the only way to settle a disagreement between two people on a podcast is to fight to the death.
That's right. But we might not have time depending on when this apocalyptic battle shows up. So why don't we just, shorten up the conflict and pick a couple numbers between 1 and 10,000?
I'm going to pick the year of his birth, 1982.
And I'm going to pick the number 10,000 because I hope that this doesn't occur until at least then.
Our randomly selected number with our random number button is... It's loading.
Mhm.
Oh, there
Here
it
it
is.
comes.
1,422.
Okay, so Alexander Lukovich, you have defended your status on the pitch and are moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I'm always happy when the apocalypse loses.
Yeah, I mean, if you can just defeat the end of everything in the very first round, I think that's a good way to start. We're already well on our way and headed in to round 3.
It's time for round 3.
In round 3, we have Haji Naurush Kandi against the list of UK dance singles chart number ones of the great year 1988.
Oh, yes, we do. We've got a place that just the very thought of it makes me want to dance. But we've also got some songs that you hear and can't help but dance. Let's see which one is gonna boogie woogie oogie into round 2.
Haji Naurush Kandi, also known as Haji Naurush Kandi, I think it might be pronounced differently, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
Don't forget, it says here that it's also known as Haji Narush Kandi.
There we go. It's a village in the Kashlak-e Janubi Rural District, in the Kashlak Dasht District, and the Bilas Savar County in the Abradil Province in, everyone say it with me now, Iran. It's always a small town in Iran.
This one's very small. At the 2006 census, its population was a mere 70, comprised of 14 families, our very favorite statistic. It's right near the northernmost part of the nation, not too far from the water, but set in, and it seems to be a little bit cut off by the neighboring country to the north. Looks like a nice, quiet little place. But you know what's not quiet? Is our other contestant. The list of UK dance singles that hit the chart number 1 in the year of 1988.
These include such famous songs as Tell It to My Heart, I Know You Got Soul, Don't Turn Around, Blue Monday 1988, and even Good Life.
I'm not a fan of that one, but I love the rest of these. Let's see, we got some bands here. Joyce Sims, Bros, Taylor Dane. Are there any? Oh, Salt and Pepper Push It took the title on the 16th of July. We might be familiar with that. Otherwise, Milli Vanilli, girl, you know it's true. In November there, only ruled for a week. Yeah, these are some just nothing but bangers, my friend.
I love that anytime we come across something that's Milli Vanilli, because it wasn't two guys, it was like two guys and two ladies and a bunch of lip syncing.
It was just absolute gold-plated something else. But it was well received, at least at the moment. Salt and Pepper Push It cannot be denied. But that's about the whole list there. However, if we jump back to our beautiful little province in Iran, we've about played out that album too.
Yeah, we've read the entirety of that article, and really this other one is just a list of songs, so the question becomes, would you rather spend a year in a dance club in the UK listening to music from the late 80s, or would you rather visit this small village and its 70 inhabitants in Iran?
This is truly a tough one. I guess this is why we've spent those many, many years in ultimate tournament of everything school trying to learn how to make these decisions. And yet sometimes we find ourselves at a difficult moment. I'm having trouble choosing. Small towns in Iran typically do well, but these are some really funky songs here.
I don't think they're funky enough, and here's why. Every song's great. a little bit. But if I had to spend the rest of my life, would I rather spend it in this small village or stuck in a dance club listening to the same, looks like 20 songs over and over again till my ears bleed and my brain explodes? And that's not an endorsement. That's a bad thing. I'm not like, just so we're clear. I think it's the village in Iran all day.
Okay, then I think I'm going to agree with you. List of UK dance singles chart number ones for 1999. We're going to have to push you out of the first round, and we're going to have to go with your competitor, Hachi Naresh Kandi, to reside in the next round of...
The ultimate tournament of everything.
We really should have a running list of small villages in Iran that have won, because it is many more than you'd think.
It is truly a juggernaut. It is the unstoppable object, as is the ultimate tournament of everything, cannot be stopped. And here we see ourselves progressing in to round 4.
My round 4 is ready.
In round 4, we have the, looks like Tiachulan district against Ruslan Albagov.
Okay, yes, absolutely. We've got a place that, is technically a place, definitely a heavy if you were trying to lift it up. However, we have our other competitor, a Russian lifter who would certainly give it a go. Let's see which one is going to be able to hold their own here in the first round, progressing to the next.
Well, the reason I got a little confused pronouncing the Tiachulan district is in the article. It's located in the north of the Canada region in the state of Oaxaca in Mexico. I didn't know Mexico had a Canada region. I knew North America had a Canada region. I didn't know Mexico had its own.
Yeah, I mean, this is, America. The Americas. We work together, but we also have cool little things that make us unique, including the little squiggly tilde over the N in Canada. So does that make it Kenyatta region?
It might. A native
It
speaker
might.
could correct me. I am probably pronouncing it incorrectly. That's what 2 years of Spanish just barely gets you.
Well, I would certainly be interested to see what a Tex-Mex type of poutine would look like in this Kenyatta region in the state of Oaxaca, Mexico. But what I can tell you is that it includes a number of municipalities, different places that you can be in, a whole string of towns. They all look lovely and beautiful. But I don't really have a whole lot of information readily available to me. It's a little bit of heavy lifting, you might say, to try and get through it. So, that being said, let's jump over to our other contestant, Ruslan Albagov, the Russian weightlifter competing in the plus 105 kilogram category.
Category. He was born January 26th, 1988. There it is again. He won the bronze medal at the 2012 Summer Olympics with a combined total of 448 kilograms between the snatch and the clean and jerk. He's been banned from the games in Rio because of the entire ban of Russian weightlifting teams for cheating.
Yep. It turns out that performance-enhancing drugs really do enhance your performance beyond the acceptable norms. And so pretty much that whole team has not been able to do anything. Although I think a lot of them did find a way to compete on like an unaffiliated team in the Olympics. I don't remember exactly. Let's see. We got this guy coming in at 6'4". He weighs a total of a healthy 345.1 pounds, 34 years old. This guy looks like an absolute moose of a man.
Yeah, actually, he probably makes moose look tiny. He graduated from the Gorski State Agricultural University, probably the Fighting Wheat, if I had to guess. He's in the Armed Forces Club for his weightlifting sport, and he's just overall a mountain of a man, not to be confused with the Mountain of the Man.
Oh, yes, indeed. But Do you think that he would be able to shake the ground underneath the Teotihuacan district there in the north of the state of Oaxaca?
I think it generally depends where he's standing, but as a rule, no.
Oh, hey, take a look there on the map. Uh, the Oaxaca district seems to be down towards like the very bottom of Mexico. Um, Kind of beautifully situated. I think that looks like a lovely spot to find yourself. Um, Gosh, you're almost into South America by that point. I bet you it's quite lovely.
Yeah, I bet you it's probably very nice. Although, like some places in Mexico, it might be dealing with some unrest at the moment. Plus, you get big bugs the further south you go. So that's kind of, not great.
Well, looking over at this picture of weightlifter, are you looking at this picture?
Yeah, he looks like a nice dude.
No, no,
Well,
no, no.
I take that
Which
back.
one?
I take
I'm
that
looking at
back.
three different individuals,
No, you're
and
right. And he's
they
the one
look
on the
like
right. I
triplets.
agree. He's
Are
not
you
the nice
sure?
dude.
Yeah, they look like triplets, and if he's the one on the right, he looks like the one who's got an idea in his hand, but literally in his hand, he's got some flowers, so I might be misjudging him. He does have a pretty cool sweater. He looks a little bit sweaty. It's tough call here, but I think in the end, I'm gonna have to lean towards this lovely little town in Oaxaca.
Well, I think I have to agree with you. So I clicked on the results for the 2012 Summer Olympics men's plus 105 kilogram, and he took
hmm
third behind
hmm
two Iranians.
Oh, well, hey, they were probably from that tiny little town in the previous episode, and we knew or in the previous round, we knew that that was great. That's why we attempted to move it on. But I don't think that we're going to be able to move on this lifter. It's a little bit too hefty to be elevated, and so we will be escalating our small town of Teotihuacan in Oaxaca to the next round of.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Don't cheat, kids. That's the lesson. Don't cheat.
Yeah, and if you're part of an organization that is cheating, you're part of that cheating too. So you got to blow that whistle and let people know, and try and maybe form your own nation, your own place, so you can be free to move as you like, including us moving into round five.
Round five.
In round 5, we have the consumer watchdog against Alan Roberts, the songwriter.
Ooh, very, very interesting. Two things, very creative. We got the Consumer Watchdog, nonprofit progressive organization looking out for taxpayers and consumers' interests. And Alan Robert, the songwriter, who's looking out for the artistic and intrinsically inherent interests of us all. Let's see, the inner or the outer. Which one will present itself as the victor in this round?
The consumer watchdog focuses its interests on insurance, healthcare, political reform, privacy, and energy, and was founded in 1985 by California Proposition 103 author Harvey Rosenfield, and is headquartered in Santa Monica, California. Its chief officers include Jamie Court and executive director Carmen Balber.
Yes. It goes back a little bit further, even than our good friend of the Balber family. After lobbying with consumer advocate Ralph Nader on a number of issues, including campaign finance reform and nuclear power proliferation, Rosenfield founded Consumer Watchdog in 1985. And later, this Rosenfield teamed up with Nader to campaign against California Proposition 51, which was an insurance industry backed initiative on the California ballot in 1986 that limited damage claims on lawsuits.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Companies are like, no. We don't want rules, and if you sue us, we don't want you to be able to sue us.
Yeah, yep.
Oh,
Everybody just wants the rules to work for them. They only want people to work for them, politicians to work for them, but sometimes it's not all about you. And so, Consumer Watchdog, let's take a cue from that and jump over quickly to our other competitor, Alan Roberts.
I was born in Brooklyn and trained as an accountant before working as a pianist in clubs and shows on and around Broadway, where he met and worked with theater and film producer Mike Todd. He wrote, "You Opened My Eyes" for the Bill Berry Orchestra in 1935, and in 1937 co-wrote with Irving Gordon and Alvin S. Kaufman the song "Me, Myself, and I."
Yeah, so he wrote and co-wrote songs that would eventually be sung by such influential artists as the Mills Brothers, Ella Fitzgerald, the Ink Spots, Billy freaking Holiday, the Andrews Sisters, Marilyn Monroe, Perry Como, and so many more. See, he met his aspiring co-songwriter Doris Fisher, the daughter of respected Tin Pan Alley songwriter Fred Fisher in 1944, and the two began at that point collaborating, finding immediate success with such popular songs as "You Always Hunt the One You Love" and "Into Each Life Some Rain Must Fall."
Now, he did pass away in a Florida hospital 2 months after his 61st birthday, so that is unfortunate, but he gave so much in the time he had.
He truly did almost everything that he possibly could have given. Uh, Almost too much, you might say. And you want to talk about something that stops us from giving out too much. And we can jump right on back to the consumer watchdog. They're going to make sure that we're not being taken advantage of, as consumers. These are politicians and, legal people trying to, jump in front of corporations, taking advantage of the little guy through various propositions and various aspects of life and business, including insurance reform, healthcare reform, and many others.
Yeah, they've really kind of taken anything they can to pick a fight and save the rights of consumers. There is things such as energy regulation, even privacy, and they have actually picked some fights with Google, which is great. Not that Google's necessarily bad, but there's lots of things companies will do, and if there's not some group saying, "Hey, okay, you can track everybody, but should you?" they'll just kind of keep doing it. So this group is doing some good work.
Yeah, it seems like that at a glance. Looking over this, basically, look, we are all consumers, and we all could use someone to watch over us. And perhaps this organization is that. But in the meantime, the in between time, while we're sitting there, we might want to be entertained. And if you want to, there's nothing better to pass the time than a good song by our friend Alan Roberts.
Well, and I think that's the one I'm going to go for. While the consumer watchdog is doing good work, Alan Roberts is making sure everyone has a good time.
Yeah, he's got a lot of tunes, and you know what I like about him? He writing songs for other people. He's not up there trying to necessarily, take all the spotlight, take all the limelight. He is trying to make other people stars, And I think it's time that, yes, indeed, we elevated him to the stardom of his own that is well deserved, moving him on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
beautiful.
Indeed.
Yeah, he really, that's a competitor that really, really sang to me. Just striking my heartstrings, and I can't wait to see him compete against probably a town in Iran when he inevitably appears in round two. But that's long in the future. If you don't want to have to wait that long, though, you can join us every single day of the week, Tuesday and Thursday. Don't forget, we got full episodes just like this every other day. We've got our scouting reports, which you can like, comment, and subscribe to give us all sort of feedback. We'll make it better and better every single time. And we just can't wait to move forward with you joining us into round six.
Making a turn around the last curve. He comes around the last side, and there you have it. There is your winner, round six.
In round 6, we have Dave Chepkis against Hide Photography.
Dave Chipkus looks like he's an Iowa representative, serving since 2003. We got a politician here from the 50th district, whereas he's competing against hide photography, purpose-made construction, a hide to hide from a photographic subject, usually an animal. Let's see which one's going to make themselves appear in the next round.
Dave Chepkis, born April 22, 1944, is the Iowa State Representative from the Fighting 50th District. He has served in the Iowa House of Representatives since 2003.
See, serving on a few committees in the Iowa House, including government oversight, judiciary, local government, and the public safety committees. Oh, wow. He's also served as the chair of the Transportation Committee and as a member of the Joint Government Oversight Committee. Gosh, all that sounds important and boring.
His prior political experience includes serving as the mayor of Gowrie.
Okay. Started in a small town, moved up to the capital, the big city. He wanted to be seen. But our other competitor taking a bit of a different tack, trying not to be seen while getting as good a view as possible.
Yeah, so the aim of hide photography is to allow the photographer to be in close proximity to the wild animal without alarming it or making it flee, thereby obtaining photographs of the species in non-captive conditions. Think of any time you've really seen a snow leopard photo, that person is hiding from it.
Yeah, they say that the only thing that'll truly deeply change an experiment is it being observed. And I think it's the same with animals. You want to see what they're really doing, you got to make them think that you ain't even there. So there's a bunch of ways that you can do it. These hides come in many shapes and sizes, which effectively depend on certain factors. How much it's going to cost, what type of availables you got, however, and all. But one of the simplest hides is a screen or camouflage netting covering a hollow space in a bush or between rocks, for example. There are also so-called pop-up hides, but basically any way that you can make yourself seem not like yourself, that's a good way to get a jump on these animals for a beautiful shot.
With the advances in digital photography, commercial hide photography has become a reality and a growing phenomenon within the tourism and ecotourism sectors. More and more wildlife enthusiasts consider participating in organized wildlife or bird photo trips, and where it is possible to use one or more commercially managed hides to obtain photos of attractive or emblematic species. That's fun.
Yeah, I mean, people want to see those things that are rare. We want to see those animals that we're trying to protect, and it goes a long way to, adding our relatable value to them and understanding the significance of their existence. And Spain, no different. Spain, in particular, the main species that can be photographed from commercial hides, they include a long list here of lammergeiger, little bustard, great bustard even, Bonelli's eagle, some vultures, both griffin and Egyptian, and black, something called a red kite, golden eagles, and little owls, plus a number of plains birds.
Now, to take place in hide photography, you really have to have stick-with-itness because depending on the species or the site, it may be necessary for the photographer to occupy the hide before dawn and then leave after sunset. And depending on the species, it might even be necessary to get a little tricky and show up with two people and have one leave while the other one stays, tricking the animal into thinking that no humans remain at the site.
That is very, very true. But you know what? If you want to talk about staying power, we would be, again, remiss to not talk about our other contestant, Dave Jepkes, who was elected to office in January 13th of 2003, and indeed to this day apparently remains incumbent. So that's 19 years of being on the Iowa State of Representatives from the 50th district. This guy's definitely been around for a while.
Yeah, I really hope he's no longer serving. He is 78. I think it would be time to retire.
Well, that's not that old for a president anymore.
Yeah, isn't that part of the problem?
That would be awfully old for a bird, and I sure would like to take a picture of that bird. And if I was going to get a chance to do so, I'd probably have to utilize the principles of hide photography. And that's why I'm going to be choosing it as my selection to move on to the next round with your concurrence. I don't know. What are you thinking, Rob?
I agree. I got to go with hide photography over the politician who served in Iowa, I'm sure admirably, but for a little too long.
That's right. Hey, we can't hide our admiration for you, Hide Photography, and so we're electing you to represent yourself in the next round of.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Just too many years. It's too many years.
That's a long time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with term limits at all. I mean, but hey, maybe he's doing a great job. I don't really know anything about that guy other than what's in there. And I don't really know anything about anything other than, what's in front of me. So why don't we throw away the past, move on to the future, and talk about round 7.
Round 7. Round 7. Round 7. Round 7.
Put on your thinking caps, Mike. In round 7, we have PFKFB1 against a hamster show.
Yes, we've got two absolute opposites in the spectrum of this round. We've got one that's an acronym, and we've got the other that is just a cool event. Not exactly sure what either of them are. I know the word hamsters. I know the words hamster and show, and I know all the letters and numbers that make up the other contestant, but that's about as far as I can take you. So, jokes be darned. Let's get into this round.
PFKFB1, also known as 6-phosphofructo-2 kinase fructose 2,6-biphosphatase 1,
Yes.
is an enzyme that in humans is encoded by the PFKFB1 gene.
Oh, okay. And I don't actually know about this. I was confusing it with something else that I don't know about. But let's elaborate a little bit. This gene encodes a member of the family of bifunctional cis-phosphofructo-2 kinase fructose 2, 6-biphosphorate enzymes. Okay, clear enough. I think that's pretty well stated. This enzyme forms a hodomer that catalyzes both the synthesis and degradation of fructose 2, 6-biphosphorate using obviously independent catalytic domains. Clear enough.
Yeah, consequently regulating fructose 2 6-biphosphate levels through the activity of this enzyme is thought to regulate glucose homeostasis. So this is probably very important in regulating your blood sugar level, I would imagine.
But if you want to regulate, your blood hamster level, probably the best way to do so is to keep hamsters out of your blood and completely in their own little shows. This hamster show, our other contestant, it's an event in which people gather hamsters to judge them against one another. Kind of an ultimate hamster of everything that they're going for here. They've got judges. People share their enthusiasm for hamsters. And I don't know. This seems like a pretty. Yeah. If you're a hamster, it must seem pretty superficial.
I've never thought about it, but yes, I do have a blood hamster level of 0. I guess it's not technically incorrect, but I've also never given it any thought.
Yeah, you can't legally drive if you have more than one hamster in your blood.
Can't do lots of things. The judging of hamsters usually includes a goal of promoting hamsters that conform to natural or established varieties of hamsters. And by awarding hamsters that match standard hamster types, hamster shows encourage planned and careful hamster breeding.
Yeah, I mean, so basically they want these hamsters, they want to find the hamster that, conforms most to their ideal concept of what is an ideal hamster. And apparently that changes. There's pet hamster sections where, anyone can enter this one. It's not further divided, and all the pets and hamsters they're judged together. It's mostly for amateurs and they don't require entrance to prepare in advance. However, there are also Syrian and dwarf hamsters, which are divided into their own section, and then they're further divided into straight class, duplicate class, and non standard class, referring to different things. Here we're getting very specific, and we're looking for ideal examples of what they've considered these to be.
Yeah, think of a dog show, but for hamsters. And I think it's just pointing out to me the wonderfulness that is the tournament of everything, because everything has a layer below the layer you think it should have. I did not
Mm.
know hamster shows were a thing, and now I'm really intrigued. I'm going to have to spend some of my free time learning about what different hamster breeds there are. I thought it was just one thing. I thought it was just a hamster.
No, in fact, there's a lot of variety. And when you're coming to the point where you're trying to rank them, judge them, there are a number of categories that you can do so by. These specific hamsters are judged on a 100-point judging scheme, a common allocation of points in the categories as follows. You can have color and markings up to 30 points, conformation to body type 25 points, also judging fur, the general size, the condition of the hamster, and look of the ears and eyes.
As you would kind of any animal, it sounds like. I just didn't think they did it for hamsters.
No, it seems a little bit small. But if you're talking about small, let's get down to the absolute smallest. Let's talk about our good friend, the enzyme that is in humans encoded by the BFKFPB1 gene, PFKFPB1.
Well, I think we did. We've read the entirety of that short article, and I'm sure there's someone who's spent their life studying this and has a doctoral dissertation about it somewhere, but it ain't here today.
No, but somebody did create this picture. Do you see the picture that's attached to it?
I do.
It looks like okay, I have no idea what it is,
It
people, and I'm
looks
not
like
going to
ribbon from a
entirely try and
present.
describe it to you. But it looks like if you had a bow of ribbon on a present and your child broke it up, or perhaps your hamster got at it. That's kind of what we're looking at. Different colors there, but it really looks like, I mean, 100%. Not even making it up. It looks like a hamster ate a ribbony bow, and I think that this is pretty much what's happening in this round. And I think the hamsters are kind of eating up that enzyme. And so I think I'm going to have to go ahead and choose a hamster show as my selection to move on.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
We know I agree with you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Not as beautiful as some of these hamsters, but I cannot wait to see how these handsome hamsters are going to, rank up against whoever they inevitably face in the next round of the ultimate tournament of everything. Uh, Speaking of the next round, Rob, let's get in to round 8.
I say, would you by chance have any round 8?
Round 8!
In round 8, we have Laverdure against the Battle of Lifford.
Oh, okay. What could be more appropriate, I would say, at this juncture than, Laverdure and a Battle of Lifford facing off here. I think we all know all about these already. I'm not going to even, sully the fields here. Let's get into it. Digging in.
Laverdure is, of course, a surname, and notable people with this name include Brittany Laverdure, a Canadian wrestler, Claude Laverdure, a Canadian diplomat, Claude Laverdure, the Belgian comic book author who's different than the Canadian diplomat, Donald Laverdure, an American judge and politician, and René Laverdure, a French army officer who lived between 1862 and 1914.
That's right. And if your last name is Lavender, don't forget that Wikipedia is editable, and you can throw your name into this list of venerable individuals, and you would be just as deserving. And so I recommend that you do so that we can possibly see you if and when this contestant will appear in the next round. But we're going to have to see if that actually takes place because we got to take a look at the other contestant, the Battle of Lifford.
This was fought in County Donegal in October of 1600 during the 9 Years' War in Ireland. A mixed Anglo-Irish force under Sir John Ball and the Gaelic leaders Niall Garve O'Donnell and Sir Arthur O'Neill captured the strategic town of Lifford. A subsequent attempt to recapture it by forces led by Red Hugh O'Donnell failed.
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, this is a battle. It's always rough, but it takes some context to understand. So let's give them a little background, shall we? Lifford, both strategically and politically important, as it stands where the River Finn and Mourne meet to form the Foyle, and was a traditional stronghold of the O'Donnell dynasty. Um, Niall was a rival claimant to the chief of the O'Donnells, and his presence at Lifford strengthened his claims.
Yeah, which is kind of great. There was a siege and a battle, and in the aftermath of this, they continued to take more small towns. These became part of a pincer movement that allowed English troops at Derry, Dublin, and Carrickfergus to penetrate into the heart of Alliance-held territory in Tyrone.
Yeah, at some point though, when you're taking out lands, you're gonna possibly get just a little bit too greedy. It seems at the end of October, the garrison marched out to meet the besiegers to battle. They led cavalry forces during the fight. They fought many people, including some of their brothers. Um, Looks like the aftermath of which this they were victorious. I don't know. There's kind of a lot here. It ended in a treaty, a garrison town. I look here. Here's kind of the deal, though. Here's what I'm thinking. Why do people got to fight? Why you got to fight? Can't we all just get along?
No, unfortunately, we usually can't. We should, but we can't. Now, I see a sentence here that for me is going to be enough to move it on, and I'll read it out loud for everyone. Red Hugh was reinforced by Scottish Redshank mercenaries hired by his mother and on his behalf. It's like the kookiest thing to ever happen in battle. They're making fun of my boy. I'm going to hire you, and you're going to go out there and you're going to fight for him, okay?
Well, it sounds like they did a real good job after the Treaty of Mellifont that ended the war in 1603. And Lifford remained an important garrison town. It was able to hold out during O'Doherty's rebellion in 1608, and troops from the town helped put down that aforementioned rebellion. It seems as though sometimes people gotta clash to come together. Sometimes you gotta fight with your friend to realize that you're BFFs. And I'm looking at this other contestant, our Laverdour, the sewer name. They are literally family, but I don't know. Have they been through as much? Do they really have the bond? Is blood thicker than water? I don't know, but I know that there was a lot of thick blood at some of these battles, so I think I'm going to have to agree. Moving on, this battle of Lifford.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Seriously, though, if your last name is Leverdour and you edit that Wikipedia article and you're listening to this, please tell us, because we'd love to go back and see it again.
Yep, and we will give you total credits, and we'll even reevaluate the round. I mean, what are we if not flexible here? For infinity is flexible. It changes all the time. An infinite of infinite infinites. That is this universe, and that is this ultimate tournament of everything, which we have found ourselves here in round 9.
It's about time for round 9.
Round 9.
Unlike Infinity, our show only has 9 rounds, this being the final one. In this final round, we have the 2012 Oceania Boxing Olympic Qualification Tournament against Qualel Now Torbat e Haideria.
Oh. Well, we've got one that we've never seen before, and we've got another that if you've been listening, you can probably guess what it is. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. Let's get right down to business.
So the Oceania Boxing Olympic qualification was held in Canberra, Australia from March 21st to March 25th and included light flyweight, flyweight, bantamweight, lightweight, light welterweight, welterweight, middleweight, heavyweight, and super heavyweight because we are talking about, of course, boxing.
That's right. And that super heavyweight winner was the well-known Johan Linda of Australia, who apparently he didn't kick butt, he punched some butt, and won this boxing tournament. There was a whole bunch of other winners segregated by weight, but looking down this list, they were all Australian, though not all of the competitors were. We've got some individuals from other nations, but yet it does appear that from Tonga, from where's this one? Doesn't that page doesn't exist? We got other people whose pages don't exist, but I can tell you this list of winners all have the same flag. That flag is Australia. They were punching hard that day, but you know what? You can punch people and that'll hurt them. But if you just punch the ground, it won't hurt that too much. Let's talk about our other contestant, a very specific piece of ground. Quale now Torbate Heidaria.
Which we, of course, all know if we've been paying attention at all to any of the 28 episodes of this show, is a small village in Iran. It is in the Pain Rock Rural District, in the Jolgay Rock District, in the Torbat-e Herderia County, in the Razavi Khorasan Province in Iran. And as of 2006, its population was 260 people. In our favorite statistic, 46 families.
Absolutely. There's a lot of these little towns here in this competition, aren't there?
Yeah, there are many. I thought we'd get to the end of them. Somehow, there's something about the random page algorithm on Wikipedia that gives you soccer players and small villages in Iran and moths. And I don't understand why that's the trifecta, but that's what it is.
Oh, I would just love to come across a moth right now. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, Koala now. I don't know if you're gonna be around Koala later. Uh, I'm really feeling this Oceania Boxing Olympic qualification tournament. They were just trying to get to the big game, and they formed together. They fought. Like I said, Australia swept it. I think that's pretty impressive, pretty significant. 9 for 9. I mean, you can't really do much better than that. I'd imagine you could do at least we've covered a lot of small little Iranian towns. Odds are, and I don't know, but odds are this isn't the best. These competitors were the best of the best in 2012 in Oceania boxing.
Yeah, they were the best. I don't know if any of them actually won anything past that, but they were the best of the day. And I think for that reason, they're going to be the best of the day this day as well.
Absolutely. 2012 Oceania Boxing Olympic Qualification Tournament. You have qualification-ified for the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Well, we've made it through 9 rounds of the most random things off Wikipedia for your listening pleasure. And as we mentioned earlier, since you did like it, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell the people in these articles. And you can find us every day of the week, Tuesdays and Thursdays with full-length episodes just like this one, and every other day of the week where we look at just one slice of infinity and bring it to you in the morning for your listening pleasure.
Absolutely right. We go through all of these competitors trying to find the victor, but you, listener, are the true champion, making all of us winners here on
The ultimate tournament of everything.